All right, so back here on the 1978 Toyota pickup and trying to simplify all the mess that's on the side of the intake. So, I mean, piling up crap that I don't need. So there's this ridiculous spider web of coolant and vacuum lines that goes from hard to soft to back to soft. It's a nightmare. So getting rid of that, keeping stuff in a little kit just in case. So just rubber lines that I've replaced. That's a banjo fitting for the vacuum brakes, but I'm running manual brakes. And then it's a fuel pressure dampener that on cold startup, it will increase pressure. So as far as stuff that I've cleaned up, so I'm currently just going to run this bypass hose for the HVAC. And so at some future date, I'll tap in, but I'll just run that bypass hose for now. Replace the stock banjo fitting with this AN line fitting that's not tightened down yet because I need to make sure the alignment's good. So I got that. And then as far as like all those coolant lines that we're running underneath here, so this would go off up here to your idle air control valve, and then it comes back from the top and then comes back down and then routes over and then comes up to your throttle body, and then from your throttle body it goes back into the head. So that's what that spider web crap does. And so just bypassing all that stuff going directly from that feed line all the way over to the head. Now those could theoretically just get blocked off and just leave it alone, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to modify all those things. So just, you know, routing it to bypass the manifold and not have all those extra lines. I did replace the two oil line coolant lines for the oil cooler that's attached here. Again, potentially long-term I'll run an external oil cooler, but this will work for me for now. Then all these extra vacuum ports, I mean, they are all over the place on this intake. You know, so there was a sensor down here that captures vacuum, and that's a thing that'll increase your fuel pressure at cold start. And so I'll be running an external, you know, aftermarket fuel pressure regulator, standalone ECU, so that's totally not necessary for me. That would pull in manifold vacuum, and then it would have a hose that goes from it over to where the stock fuel pressure regulator would be. And so that stuff's not relevant to me anymore, so replace that. And then this fitting here is an AN fitting that I'll end up hooking into the aftermarket fuel pressure regulator. So that's hooked in here. So that's gone. And then these are all the ports that would hook into those various devices that I'm showing down below. Just looped this one here instead of trying to cap it off. This one has the cap. You do need to have some sort of boost reference, even if you're running an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator. So this larger vacuum port, I'm going to go ahead and keep that, and then that'll be my boost reference that'll end up hooking into whatever the aftermarket fuel pressure regulator is. On the top here, so just capped off the two lines that go to the idle air control, and then there's another vacuum port on this side that would hook into this fuel pressure dampener, and then this would also hook into the fuel pressure regulator. So the fuel pressure regulator actually had two different ports on it, one for boost reference and one for vacuum. And so that's what this would end up doing. And so I don't need this anymore. I couldn't find the thread on that. I think it's some crazy metric NPT or something. It's very fine thread. And so I wanted to replace it with a plug, but I couldn't find it. So just cap that off and then cap this one off as well. So a whole bunch of mess just removed from the intake, and this is going to be way easier for me. All right, thanks. See you in the next one.